Hollywood sells us fairy tales, perfect romances, dream weddings, and happily ever afters. But the truth behind the industry's most famous heartthrobs is far messier and sometimes shocking. Their first love stories weren't the glossy, scripted romances we imagined. They were complicated, controversial, and unforgettable. Stories that left scars, fueled scandals, and changed the way we saw these stars forever. From teen idols who fell in love under the blinding spotlight, to chart-topping singers whose breakups became global headlines, to actors whose very first relationships shocked fans with age gaps, secrecy, or betrayal. These heartthrobs prove that first love in Hollywood is never innocent. It's a game of passion, publicity, and pain. You're watching Rainbow Spotlight, the channel that uncovers the scandals, mysteries, and untold stories Hollywood doesn't want you to hear. While other creators beg for your subscription right away, we're not like them. Stick around until the end and only subscribe if we've earned it. And before we dive in, tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? We love seeing how far this community reaches. Justin Timberlake was once America's golden boy. With his curly blonde hair, boyish charm, and flawless voice, he wasn't just a pop star. He was the ultimate teenage dream. And just like any teen idol, the world wanted to know everything about his love life. But what makes Justin's first love story so unforgettable is how it went from Hollywood's cutest couple to one of the industry's most bitter scandals. His first great love was none other than Britney Spears. The two met as children on the Mickey Mouse Club, but by the late 90s they had become the ultimate pop power couple. They were young, beautiful, and untouchable, two stars who seemed destined to rule the world together. Fans plastered their walls with posters of the perfect pair. Tabloids hailed them as a modern fairy tale. For a while, Justin and Britney weren't just dating. They were selling the dream of eternal, innocent love. But behind the scenes, the cracks were already forming. The pressures of fame, long tours, and constant media attention strained their relationship, and when they finally split in 2002, the breakup was anything but clean. Justin released the now infamous track Cry Me a River, complete with a Britney lookalike in the music video. The message was unmistakable. She cheated, he was heartbroken, and the world should take his side. Overnight, the perfect couple became tabloid warfare. The fallout was shocking. Britney was branded the villain, shamed mercilessly by the press, while Justin was celebrated as the wounded hero. For years, his career soared while hers spiraled under the weight of public scrutiny. Fans later accused Justin of weaponizing their first love story, turning private pain into a PR strategy that catapulted him into solo superstardom. Supporters argue that Justin was simply telling his truth, using music to process heartbreak. Critics say he exploited Britney, letting her reputation burn while he built his own empire. And decades later, as documentaries revisited the dark side of early 2000s tabloid culture, fans began to question, was Justin Timberlake's greatest secret not the romance itself, but how he used it to rewrite his image? What makes this story shocking isn't just the breakup, it's how their first love, once a fairy tale, became Hollywood's most infamous cautionary tale. Justin Timberlake's rise to the top is forever tied to the way he handled Britney Spears, and in 2025 that legacy is still controversial. By now, Justin has tried to move past the scandal, issuing public apologies and focusing on his career. But the shadow of that first love, and the way it ended, still hangs over him. In Hollywood, first love can make you, or it can haunt you forever. For Justin Timberlake, it did both. So what do you think? Was Justin the broken-hearted boy who turned pain into art, or the heartthrob who turned his first love into his most shocking scandal? Drop a 1 in the comments if you think his story is the most unforgettable first love in Hollywood. Johnny Depp is often remembered as Hollywood's eternal rebel, the pirate, the outlaw, the man who never played by the rules. But long before he became a global icon, Johnny had already lived a shocking love story that very few fans truly know. His first marriage wasn't the stuff of fairy tales. It was messy, unexpected, and unforgettable. Back in 1983, when Johnny was just 20 years old, he married Lori-Ann Allison, a makeup artist 6 years his senior. At the time, he wasn't a star. He wasn't even close. He was a struggling musician trying to make ends meet, and Lori was the one who helped introduce him to Hollywood. Through her, Johnny landed connections that would eventually lead to his breakout role in A Nightmare on Elm Street. For a while, it seemed like love and ambition were perfectly aligned, but the relationship came under fire almost immediately. Friends and tabloids whispered about the unusual age gap, Johnny's immaturity, and his restless lifestyle. He was a boy with a rock and roll spirit suddenly tied down by marriage. Within just 2 years, the marriage collapsed. By 1985, they were divorced, leaving Johnny with scars and stories he rarely speaks about. What makes this first love story shocking isn't simply that it ended, it's what it revealed. Even before fame, Johnny Depp was already living the contradictions that would define his career. The sensitive artist who couldn't handle commitment, the romantic who left chaos in his wake. For fans who came to know him later as the wild child of Hollywood, this early marriage was a glimpse of the storms to come. The fallout shaped his path in unexpected ways. With Lori gone, Johnny threw himself deeper into acting, chasing the kind of roles that reflected his own restless soul. But as his fame grew, so did the whispers. Critics suggested that his failed first love left him incapable of stability, pointing to his string of high-profile romances and messy breakups that followed. Fans saw a pattern: Johnny Depp, the eternal heartthrob, always haunted by the ghost of that first marriage. Supporters argue that Johnny was simply too young, too unprepared, caught between love and ambition. Critics see it as the beginning of a destructive cycle, one that would repeat itself in scandal after scandal, from Winona Ryder to Amber Heard. And in many ways, they're both right. His first love wasn't just a relationship, it was a prophecy. By 2025, Johnny Depp remains one of the most controversial figures in Hollywood. Some hail him as a misunderstood genius, others as a fallen star. But what can't be denied is that his shocking first marriage to Lori-Ann Allison set the tone for everything that followed. It proved that even the most beautiful men in Hollywood carry secrets, and sometimes those secrets are written in the very first chapter of their love lives. So, what do you think? Was Johnny Depp's first marriage just youthful recklessness, or the start of Hollywood's most turbulent love story? Drop a 2 in the comments if you think his first love predicted the chaos to come. Zac Efron will always be remembered as Disney's golden boy, the fresh-faced, blue-eyed star who made millions fall in love as Troy Bolton in High School Musical. But behind that dazzling smile and polished image was a first love story that was anything but scripted. It was beautiful, messy, and shocking in ways that fans never expected. Zac's first great love was Vanessa Hudgens, his co-star and on-screen soulmate. Their chemistry was undeniable, and as the High School Musical franchise exploded, the line between fiction and reality blurred. Fans didn't just want Troy and Gabriella together, they demanded that Zac and Vanessa be a real couple. And for a while, they were. The two began dating in 2005, just as their fame was skyrocketing, and instantly became Disney's most powerful couple. On the surface, it looked like a fairy tale. Young, beautiful, and adored by millions, Zac and Vanessa were Hollywood's perfect match. But behind the cameras, the pressures of being teen idols turned their love story into a spectacle. Every kiss, every red carpet appearance, every glance became fodder for tabloids. They weren't just living their romance, they were performing it for the world. By 2010, the cracks started to show. The constant media attention and grueling schedules tore them apart. Their breakup shocked fans who had grown up believing their love was the real-life version of Disney magic. For many, the end of Vanessa felt like the end of an era. But the story didn't end there, because with the breakup came rumors. Some claimed the relationship had been carefully managed by Disney to sell the franchise. Others whispered about jealousy, infidelity, and the pressures of Zach's growing fame. When nude photo leaks of Vanessa surfaced, the scandal exploded, and suddenly their once perfect love story was overshadowed by controversy. Zach stayed silent, leaving fans to wonder if their romance had been genuine or just another Hollywood illusion. The debate among fans remains fierce. Supporters say Zach and Vanessa were simply two young stars crushed under the weight of fame, their breakup inevitable. Critics argue the relationship was more PR than passion, designed to keep the High School Musical brand alive. Either way, their shocking first love became one of the most talked about romances in Hollywood history. What makes Zach's story unforgettable isn't just that he dated a co-star, it's how his first love mirrored his own career trajectory. Polished on the outside, chaotic underneath, beautiful but complicated. The perfect Disney heartthrob with a secret world of scandals just out of sight. By 2025, Zac Efron has lived through transformations, surgeries, and reinventions, but fans still look back on his first love with Vanessa Hudgens as his most shocking chapter, not because of how it started, but because of how painfully it ended. So what do you think? Was Zach and Vanessa's romance true love destroyed by fame, or just another carefully crafted Disney fantasy? Drop a 3 in the comments if you think Vanessa was Hollywood's most unforgettable first love. Tom Cruise may be one of the biggest stars in Hollywood history, an action hero, a box office king, and a man who built a career on charm and intensity. But long before Top Gun and Mission Impossible, Tom's first love story was shocking in ways most fans never realized. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't perfect, and it left a shadow that still fascinates Hollywood today. In 1980, before the world knew his name, Tom Cruise was just Thomas Mapother, a struggling young actor in New York. And at 19 years old, he met and fell for Melissa Gilbert, the girl-next-door TV star from Little House on the Prairie. Their fling was brief but unforgettable. Melissa would later describe Tom as shy, sweet, and surprisingly unsure of himself, a far cry from the confident heartthrob he would become. But even then, their relationship raised eyebrows. Hollywood insiders whispered that Tom's first serious romances always felt strategic. He moved quickly, attaching himself to women who were already in the spotlight. With Melissa, some fans saw the innocence of first love. Others believed it was Tom testing how to play the Hollywood game, how to charm, how to climb, how to turn romance into opportunity. Not long after, in 1987, Tom shocked fans again by marrying actress Mimi Rogers. At 24, Tom was still young, but Mimi was 6 years older and already established in the industry. The marriage was controversial from the start, not just because of the age gap, but because Mimi was the one who reportedly introduced Tom to Scientology, a decision that would define his life and career for decades. Within 3 years, the marriage was over, leaving fans with more questions than answers. Was Tom chasing love, or was he chasing power? His first marriages and relationships created a narrative that followed him throughout his career. Tom Cruise, the superstar heartthrob, always surrounded by whispers that his private life was more complicated than it appeared. The fan debate around Tom's first loves remains intense. Supporters insist he was simply a young man trying to navigate fame, making mistakes like anyone else. Critics argue that from the very beginning, Tom's romances were less about passion and more about control, calculated moves that blurred the line between real love and Hollywood PR. What makes Tom Cruise's story shocking isn't just that his first loves ended, it's how much they foreshadowed everything that came later. The secrecy, the scandals, the rumors that still swirl around his name in 2025. All of it traces back to those early romances, when a young Tom was already learning how to balance intimacy with ambition. By now, Tom Cruise is more than just a movie star. He's a cultural phenomenon, an enigma, a man whose stunts on screen are matched only by the mysteries off screen. But his first love stories remind us that even the biggest action hero began as a young man with secrets Hollywood won't admit. So what about you? Do you think Tom Cruise's first loves were genuine, or were they the first chapters in Hollywood's most carefully managed love life? Drop a 3 in the comments if you think his shocking beginnings set the stage for everything that followed. Harry Styles has always been more than just a pop star. With his boyish grin, hypnotic stage presence, and fashion that rewrites gender norms, he grew from One Direction's breakout heartthrob into a global icon. But before the Grammys, the stadium tours, and the Gucci campaigns, Harry lived a first love story that shocked fans, divided the media, and left a mark that follows him even in 2025. In 2011, at just 17 years old, Harry entered a relationship that would become one of the most controversial romances of his generation. His partner was Caroline Flack, the popular British TV presenter who was 14 years older than him. At first, their connection was playful, born from banter and undeniable chemistry. But once the relationship went public, the backlash was immediate and brutal. Tabloids branded Caroline a cougar. Fans accused her of exploiting Harry's youth, and the age gap dominated every headline. For Harry, who was just beginning his career with One Direction, the romance put him under a kind of scrutiny few teenagers could survive. Every outing, every photo, every kiss was analyzed and criticized. Instead of celebrating young love, the world turned it into a scandal. The fallout was harsh. Caroline was relentlessly bullied online, facing vitriol from angry directioners who couldn't accept her relationship with their idol. Harry, meanwhile, stayed mostly silent, letting the storm swirl around him. Some fans admired his composure, calling him mature beyond his years. Others argued he had been thrown into a situation no teenager should ever face. When the relationship ended in early 2012, it left both scarred, but it also cemented Harry's reputation as someone whose personal life would never be private again. The fan debate continues to this day. Some defend the relationship, pointing out that Harry himself insisted he knew what he was doing and was happy at the time. Others see it as a shocking example of the double standards in Hollywood. If the genders were reversed, would the world have treated it as lightly? What makes Harry's first love story unforgettable isn't just the age gap, it's how it revealed the impossible pressures of being a young star. At an age when most teens are fumbling through high school crushes, Harry was navigating global headlines, judgment, and controversy. His romance with Caroline became less about love and more about the public's obsession with policing his life. By 2025, Harry Styles has long since moved on, growing into an artist celebrated for his authenticity and boldness. But the ghost of his first love remains a reminder of how quickly innocence can be stolen in the spotlight. For Harry, that shocking story was both a scandal and a lesson, a first love that wasn't just personal but painfully, permanently public. So what about you? Do you think Harry Styles' first love was genuine affection unfairly judged, or a scandal that never should have happened? Drop a 5 in the comments if you think his first love was the most shocking of them all. Five men, 5 heartthrobs, and 5 shocking first love stories that prove even Hollywood's brightest stars can't escape heartbreak, scandal, and controversy. From Justin Timberlake's fairy tale with Britney Spears turned bitter breakup, to Johnny Depp's youthful marriage that collapsed before his fame, to Tom Cruise's first romances that foreshadowed decades of rumors, to Shawn Mendes' high-profile love-turned-cultural firestorm, and Harry Styles' age gap romance that became one of the most debated love stories in pop history. Each story reminds us that first love in Hollywood is never simple. In a world where perfection is staged and love is often a performance, these heartthrobs show that the truth behind their first romances is far more complicated than the fantasy. Some found inspiration in heartbreak, some carried scars into their future, and others proved that silence can be as shocking as confession. You've been watching Rainbow Spotlight, the channel that uncovers the scandals, mysteries, and untold stories Hollywood doesn't want you to hear. Other creators beg for your subscription right away. We're not like them. If this video shocked you, only then hit subscribe and turn on the bell. Now it's your turn. Whose first love story do you think was the most shocking? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're reading them all.